How's it going, Giants fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo. And following the loss from last night's game, definitely a little bit upset, but, checked back to reality nonetheless. We expected this year to be a tough one. We expected this year to be full of growing pains and struggles. And the Giants started out 2-0, which is more than what we could have asked for under Brian Dable and Joe Shane's kind of leadership here. But I'll tell you what, the offense, with all of the adversity they faced yesterday, the offensive line really struggling. Evan Neal gave up 6 total pressures and 3 sacks. This is a team that really struggled, but the scheme looked good. The players are just bad, right? Saquon looked good. Andrew Thomas looked good. Daniel Jones looked good. But everyone else just kind of underwhelmed. And I think the scheme, if you had the right pieces in place, we'd be scoring at a much higher clip right now. So, it is what it is. We're putting the pieces in place, but it takes a lot of time. This is only the first year of a rebuild under this management. We've been rebuilding for a while now. But there is some news I want to discuss. Sterling Shepard's injury update, not good for him. Really, really upset on that end. And just want to discuss some receivers the Giants could look to maybe go after in the free agent market or bring back some familiar faces. So it's definitely a discussion worth having, Anthony. Before we dive into the kind of bad stuff, to be honest with you. How do you today, my friend?
I'm doing great. It was a tough loss last night. As you just mentioned, it was kind of a reality check for the New York Giants, kind of wake up from the dream that started off the season. 2-0 was just, no one saw that coming. No one expected the Giants to have such a great start to their season. And then during that game, they were in another ugly match, similar to the ones that they were in weeks 1 and 2. Looked like one that they should be able to pull out, all things considered. But of course, they came up short. Couple crucial injuries played a part in this loss. And of course, as we know, on the final play of the game, Sterling Shepard going down with what appears to be a significant ACL tear that's going to keep him out for the rest of the season. Just a tough loss for the Giants. I mean, the receiving core was already pretty bad. It wasn't playing up to standards. I thought Sterling Shepard was by far the most reliable and consistent receiver of the bunch. And now with him no longer in the lineup, the Giants are going to have to get creative and they're going to have to figure something out, supplement that loss with some talent, but it's not going to be easy, man. It's going to be really difficult for the Giants to supplement that loss. Sterling Shepard, a huge blow to the lineup. So it's going to be a really tough one to see how the Giants handle this going forward. And, you could see the Giants just rely more on the running game, more Saquon Barkley and more Daniel Jones designed runs. Daniel Jones, one of the highlights from last night, he looked really good with the ball in his hands. He was running hard and he was picking up a lot of yards on the ground. I believe he finished for the night with 79 rushing yards. So a solid game from him on that end. And I think that's ultimately what the Giants are going to have to focus on. But nonetheless, they need some more wide receiver talent. They need Wan'Dale Robinson to get healthy. They need Kadarius Toney to get healthy. And hopefully Kenny Golladay can finally just snap out of whatever the hell possessed him since he left Detroit. But it's ugly right now. The New York Giants receiving core is an ugly unit, and they're going to have to do something to hopefully improve it for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, look, right now the wide receiver core is thin. Losing Sterling Shepard definitely is not ideal. He tore his left ACL. Looks like the MetLife turf struck again, or just his body gave out. All the rehab, all the stuff that's happened to him. Really just awful news. Everyone in the organization loves him. Saquon Barkley after the game was just absolutely torn to shreds. You saw OBJ's tweet. He was like, no, not again. Like this is a guy that just, he has all the talent in the world. Just can't stay healthy. And I think this probably spells the end of his tenure with the Giants, unfortunately. So a big thank you to Sterling Shepard for everything he did bring to the team while he was here. So appreciate that as always. And he was always a leader and brought the energy every week. So hopefully he can make a recovery and hopefully return to football at some point in time. But right now we're looking to the future. We're looking at who can step up in his stead. Obviously we'd love Kenny Golladay to be the guy, but he dropped a key third down pass last night. And that definitely pissed me the hell off. So, what are we doing with Kenny Golladay? It seems like his workload is just continuously regressing. 77% of offensive snaps in week 1, 3% in week 2, and 33% in week 3. Not ideal. He's not really getting many opportunities. When he is, he's not coming through. He's dropping passes. This is definitely a tough situation because we'd love for him to be the guy to step up and really supplement the production that Sterling Shepard will leave behind. But I don't think he will be now. Who will? I think Richie James, his role expands immediately. I love Richie James. I think he's probably one of our more reliable and consistent players. He's way outperformed expectations up to this point. He's our wide receiver 1 right now, which is extremely freaking sad to say, but I do like him as a player. And I think that if this team had more depth and had more talent, he would be a really nice piece to the puzzle. But with that being said, tight end's got to step up. Daniel Bellinger, 4 catches for 40 yards yesterday, so he looked a lot more active in the receiving game. David Sills had a couple of catches, I think 2 catches for 20 yards. I don't really think he's going to be a game buster, but Darius Slayton, he's got to get more involved. Like, they have to get him more involved in the scheme now. He's really just a burner. He was on the field a couple times. He was on the field when Saquon Barkley broke off that big run for the touchdown, 36-yarder. He was blocking against Trayvon Diggs. So, there are some guys that we have on the roster that can step up. Wan'Dale Robinson is expected to play in a couple of weeks, if not maybe next week against the Bears. Hopefully, he's definitely going to be a guy that I think is going to play a big part in this offense when he's healthy. He is Joe Shane and Brian Dable's second-round pick. He's someone that has a long-term future here. He is going to be integrated. He is going to be extremely, extremely important to the success on offense moving forward. They're going to scheme a lot of options and things to him. So I think that he's going to play a big part going forward. But Anthony, looking at some of the guys on the roster currently, before we dive into some free agents the Giants could potentially look at, who do you think has to step up right now?
I mean, obviously, we need Kadarius Toney and we need Wan'Dale Robinson to get healthy and step up, and we obviously need Kenny Golladay to just snap back into his form. He needs to start playing better. It's ridiculous the amount of money that the New York Giants are paying Kenny Golladay for this level of performance. He needs to step up. He needs to be better. But outside of those guys, who else needs to step up? I think you just mentioned it. Darius Slayton. I'd like to see him get another chance. I'd like to see him back on the field. I think that Darius Slayton, he's had his ups and downs throughout his career, but he's got chemistry with Daniel Jones, and we've seen him turn in some pretty solid performances before. So I'd like to see him get an opportunity to reintroduce himself to the lineup and hopefully get some more playing time. I don't think Darius Slayton is a bad player by any means. Is he a great player? Is he a starting caliber player? Those things are debatable. But is he a bad player, like a terrible football player who's just a liability when he's out on the field? No, but who is right now? Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay is a liability on the field. He drops passes. He doesn't get open. He's dead space. Darius Slayton, at least, I think he could be better than that. I think anybody could be playing better than Kenny Golladay right now. I'm really frustrated with this Kenny Golladay situation. This is unbelievable to me that he is playing this poorly and with this little effort while being paid this much money and being such a good player in the past. I mean, clearly this is a player that just balled out for a few seasons to get a payday, and he got it, and he's done. That's what this looks like right now to me. Another player who needs to step up, David Sills. I think David Sills played decently last night. I'm not going to blame him for slipping on the turf on that final play. It wasn't really his fault. He fell coming out of his break. I mean, yes, elite receivers, they don't fall coming out of their breaks. They make that play, but everyone slips and falls sometimes on that turf. That turf is just not good. It's very clear and obvious that there's something wrong with that turf or with turf in general in the NFL. So I can't blame David Sills too much on that final play of the game. But, Richie James as well, you mentioned him. He's been a real standout for the New York Giants. If he can continue to play this way, that will be solid for the team. I think that he needs to continue to be that underneath option for Daniel Jones. He's been really good at that so far, but like we said, man, the Giants are going to feel this loss. They are going to feel the absence of Sterling Shepard throughout the rest of the season. But these guys that I just mentioned, it's time for them to just prove that they're worthy of being here and that they're worthy of being paid as much as they're being paid, right? Darius Slayton, he took that pay cut rather, and he's still on the team. He took that pay cut to stay with the team. I'm hoping that he gets some opportunities to prove that he deserves to be on this team with some increased playing time. Maybe he can kind of have some sort of career revitalization during the 2022 season.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough. Like, I just don't know how they see, all the stuff that's going on right now, and how they're gonna kind of plan for the future. Like I think Jeff Saturday said it last night. He basically was like, the Giants. I rather not the Giants. So Brian Dable, when he was with Josh Allen and the Bills, they got Stephon Diggs, and Stephon Diggs helped Josh Allen tremendously. You look at Tua, he got Tyreek Hill, and suddenly, he's looking a lot better. And Jalen Waddle, of course, has been unbelievable to start the season. So you're seeing what great receivers can do in the right system, the right scheme fits what they can do for a quarterback. Daniel Jones doesn't have that, right? Kenny Golladay was supposed to be that, and then the whole thing changed, and now we're kind of stuck with him, and it's just a kind of shitty situation. But I'll tell you what, the Giants, right now, they have a couple options that are on the market they could look in the direction of. The biggest names on the market: Will Fuller, Allen Hurns, Albert Wilson, Adam Humphries, T.Y. Hilton, and Cole Beasley. He was elevated from the Buccaneers practice squad to the active roster this past weekend, but he may have ended up back on the practice squad after the game. So if he's on the practice squad, I think Tom Brady called Brian Dable to rub it in his face, like, oh, we got Cole Beasley, haha, like he was with you and he didn't even want to go to you. That's kind of a dick move, but is what it is. The Giants don't have any money either, right? They have like $5 million to spend, and they don't want to obviously drop all of that money in case they need to spend at other positions in case injuries arise. So like, what's the cheapest option here? Like Allen Hurns, Albert Wilson, honestly, Adam Humphries. He played with the Bucs. He's come from a winning team. I wonder if he's a guy that they would consider. Alex Bachman, he was unbelievable during the preseason. He obviously wanted to go and have another opportunity elsewhere, but now that there's a starting job open for the taking pretty much, maybe they ask him to come back. He had 122 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, the big name here is Cole, I guess Cole Beasley is a big name, Will Fuller and T.Y. Hilton, but they're going to want a little bit more money than the Giants have to offer, Anthony. What player specifically, if you're looking at any of these free agents, would you be most attracted to?
I think Cole Beasley is a name that stands out if it's possible to acquire him. Obviously, I think that makes a lot of sense for the New York Giants. He's got the familiarity with Brian Dable. He's played in the offensive scheme before. And Cole Beasley is a long-term veteran in the NFL who's had a very successful career. I think that it would be a good signing for the Giants. However, it does sound like it might be unlikely. It sounds like he's over in Tampa, happy in Tampa. Tampa's happy to have him. And he's probably going to get elevated to that regular season roster soon enough because Tampa's dealing with a slew of injuries on their roster as well at the wide receiver position. So Cole Beasley, probably the most enticing name, probably not the most likely name. Now, Alex Bachman is a name. Alex, I know you've been talking about him on Twitter as well. He's a New York Giants player that I think makes a lot of sense for the team. He's got familiarity because he played with them all offseason long. He was really good in the preseason. If the Giants could somehow bring back Alex Bachman, I think that he can maybe make an impact on the Giants regular season roster here, especially considering how well he played in the system in the preseason. I don't know how good his chemistry is with Daniel Jones per se, and I know that the talent level between preseason backups and regular season starters is huge, so he probably wouldn't be the most effective receiver in the regular season for the Giants. However, I think that he's a capable player who knows how to play with these players on this team. I think that he deserves a shot to see some regular season playing time with the New York Giants.
Yeah, I mean, look, Alex Bachman is definitely a guy that I think would fit the system well. He already knows it, so kind of integrating back into it might be useful there. And he's also really cheap, so if the Giants wanted to go that route, definitely makes sense. And they just have no money, guys. Like, this is the reality. We kind of have to roll with what we've got, if not bring in a guy who we recently had. But really, we need Tony to step up, man. Kadarius Toney's freaking injured, so like we need him to get healthy. We need Wan'Dale back, as I mentioned before. When we get those guys back, we will be okay. Sterling Shepard, while a nice veteran to have, this was always about looking toward the future. This was always about getting Wan'Dale Robinson more reps because Shep is gone after this season. I mean, he's not here anymore. He is not a long-term plan. The plan was always to get Wan'Dale Robinson more involved and really get him going. So he's going to be supplementing those reps. But in the meantime, until he's healthy, we got to figure out ways to produce on offense. And the scheme isn't good enough alone to do it. They need talent. They need players to step up right now. So I'm very curious to hear your perspectives on that and to see kind of what exactly you think should happen. Any of these names that we've listed, anybody that the Giants currently have on the roster you think should be able to step up and supplement some of the weaknesses. But as always, my friends, make sure to like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Definitely a lot to discuss. We'll be going through a lot more this week, taking a look at some of the individual performances, especially that offensive line. We may have to doom ourselves to a day in hell and just watch the entire offensive line. Now, Andrew Thomas graded out pretty well again, but Evan Neal, dude's new name is Casper after last week. But again, it's the same. This is what we expected, man. Like, Andrew Thomas, first year, really struggled. Second year, took a big step forward. So Evan Neal, we're rolling with him. We got his back. We're definitely instilling faith, and we're not giving up on him at all because anyone that did not watch Andrew Thomas because his first year was bad. So we're definitely remaining optimistic on that front, and I imagine most of you guys are as well. So enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Like and subscribe, as I said before, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants episode.